Yo, what's going on, people? It's Eagle Talks Football, and we're back again with another video. And today I got Curran with me. Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. We got a lot to talk about.
A lot.
There's a lot going on at Arsenal right now, and a lot of people need to know what's happening because let's be honest, we got the Mikel Mudryk situation, we got the Joao Felix stuff going on. I'm hearing Tielemans is back on the table. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. You got so many different rumors and speculations. Did you hear about the ridiculous swap deal for Tomiyasu for potential
I haven't heard about a swap deal. What's going on with the swap deal? This is news to
potentially?
me.
I don't know. There's just so much random stuff. Denzel Dumfries. I don't know what we would want Denzel Dumfries for. Makes no sense in my opinion. Then then we have the game today. Arsenal are officially champions of the Dubai Super Cup. I'm not gonna lie, I'm
Indeed.
not that excited about it. And what I am excited about is the performances from some of the youngsters, like Carl Hein. Definitely put on a masterclass performance, winning two penalty shootouts. Because of course, every single Dubai Super Cup game ends in a penalty shootout. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I kind of like the bizarre penalty shootouts, even though we're winning 3-0 and 2-1. It is what it is. We've gotten all 8 points from those games, and the main point of the show today is not to discuss the AC Milan win. We'll talk about it at the beginning, but we're gonna mostly talk about the Mikhaylo Mudryk and Joao Felix stuff. But how are you feeling, bro?
In terms of the AC Milan stuff, because I think we just get it over with and then move on to the juicy stuff. I mean, I think Milan. I think it shows the quality of what it looks like outside their starting 11. I don't think they are very, deep in terms of what they have. So it'll be interesting to see. I would be interested to see a full AC Milan 11 versus a full Arsenal 11. But this was kind of just like there's some nice performances. I liked what I saw from a couple of people, and a couple of people were a bit, rusty. You could tell Ben was a bit rusty, and Thomas was a bit rusty at times. But overall, just happy to get a win. Karl Hein, I've said for a while, I think that he's an interesting prospect. I prefer Arthur personally, Okonkwo. I prefer because I think that he has a more all-round game. I think at 6'6", he's a taller keeper. He's doing well on loan right now, but I like what Carl does. I think that as the Brighton game showed, he can be a bit erratic at times in terms of what he does, what he can bring. But he's doing well in these friendlies, and that's all you can ask to do. What about you? What did you think of that the performance? Did anyone stand out for you, or yeah?
A lot of people were heaping Reece Nelson's praises, but his goal was only really a deflected goal. I like the fact that he's more forward thinking, more aggressive. Overall, Martin Odegaard stole the show in this game, and in
hmm
the previous game, it was Fabio Vieira. So it kind of seems like that floating 8/10 is the one that's running the show for Arsenal in these games. And I wouldn't. I'm not really too surprised. Not really too many standout performances, but again, it is AC Milan. They are Serie A defending champs. We should be saying to ourselves, you know what, we really faced a quality opponent. But I didn't feel like that. I
It
felt like
wasn't because that's why. Because their starting 11 is it shows in Serie A you need a starting 11, and then it kind of you can get away with a couple of people not being up to standard. In the Premier League, you need that squad that we've been saying for years now. You need that 15 to 18 players to get through. But in Serie A, you can see the drop off in quality from that starting 11 to the second 11. It just didn't really seem like there was any threat there. In
yeah,
terms,
people,
yeah.
let's just before we go any further, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the stats and everything from the game. But before we go any further, people in the chat, let me know any topics you want to discuss because we already have some people mentioning some names, so that's good. So we can pick up on some of those names, like the Brazilian Donny, who's been linked to us from Atletico Madrid. I don't really know much about him. I looked into him. Doesn't look like the kind of player we should be going for. Hasn't really proved much at the top level. Big up Capo. Big up CPM saying I find the shootouts exciting. Do you find the shootouts exciting?
Um, it's funny because if you look at the upcoming World Cup, the American one, they're proposing if it ends in a draw, go for a shootout. I don't know. I find it because the thing is, there's no jeopardy in it. You know what I mean? It's just preseason. I think that there's nothing really on the line. I think if there were points on the line, or like Premier League points, or a Europa League knockout situation going on, that's a different situation. but it's just it is what it is. I know a lot of people. I remember Hassan was doing the Liverpool game, and he just turned it off after the game because they lost to a Lacazette brace. So it was he kind of just turned it off. No one really cares about the penalties, but.
You know what, guys? That might be true, but some people find it exciting. I found the first penalty kind of weird, but I was just laughing the whole way through. Like that was a terrible penalty shootout. 3-2, and like barely anyone scored. I think there was 4 penalty saves from Karl-Heinz. So yeah. Enough about that. Guys, let's be honest. The AC Milan game, there was nothing really to write home about. I'll give you guys my quick little thoughts on it, and I'll probably do a TikTok later on it also. I felt like we scored from a great free kick from Odegaard. We got the second goal through Odegaard's magic, and then a deflected goal from Reiss Nelson, and it was on target, but it deflected and it went over it gave the keeper more problems than it needed to be. Egal, the last layout was fire. You guys like this layout better? Okay, I'll keep this one then. Then you got their goal was from a corner. I didn't feel like they were bothering us the whole game. They scored they scored a scrappy corner, and then it went to penalty shootouts and it was over. I really don't think there's too much to write home about from the AC Milan game. I don't think it even deserves to be in the title of the video, but because it happened, we're gonna talk about it. We are getting Enzo. Yeah, Liverpool's getting Enzo. That came out of nowhere.
Good for them. Good for them. Seriously, if it is true, I don't think it's true either. If it is true, I think I don't know why they're going for Bellingham then. It doesn't really make much sense because Enzo as a 6 is going to be overly aggressive. He's going to lunge into tackles. He's not, in terms of being able to cover spaces, he's not that guy to cover, big spaces and be this sort of imposing figure. He's a very good aggressive 8. I feel like he's an 8. I don't really feel he molds into that 6 role. So I don't really understand why you'd go for Bellingham and Enzo. I would go for, if I was Liverpool, I'd go for Caicedo and Jude. That's what I would go for. I think that makes more sense. But they're a weird bunch, Liverpool. I feel like they're very. The profiling is very much all over the place with this kind of new post-Edwards regime, as you were. So it doesn't really make any sense. But
it doesn't have to make sense. It's Liverpool. It's not Arsenal. We don't really care too much.
No.
But there you go. Quick thoughts on Jesus' injury and how it hurt Arsenal's seasons. Because I'm not gonna lie, that is a big blow.
It is a big blow. It is a big blow. But the main point I think people are missing here is we'll get into the signings later on if Mudryk comes, for example.
Let's get straight into Jesus first.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So with Jesus, what the main thing is with Jesus is the pressing, obviously, and the ability to turn over the ball higher on the pitch. I think that's his main attribute, his ability to link play, do all those things that Lacazette could do, but plus have that energy and bring the ball into the final third, keep the ball into the final third. That's his main, that's what he's so good at. And I think what it does is it changes the dynamic of what we do as an attack, because what Eddie will bring is more of a central presence. He'll stay more higher up. He's not going to drop as deep. And you see from what we're doing in preseason with Fabio, for example, Fabio being that sort of creative right wing presence, you have this ability to have that Fabio Eddie link up, which we saw in the Europa League, where Fabio was able to get into that half space and get crosses into the box and do these kinds of things. So I think it would give a different dynamic in terms of what we need. As you mentioned before, that right wing spot, that creative right wing spot, is what we're running through right now. Whether it be Mykhaylo, whether it be Fabio, whoever it is, it's what we're running our play through right now. And the ability that Eddie has, he's not a bad presser. He's not someone that he's not a walker. He's not someone who's just going to be passive. I think for 6 weeks, as long as he can do a job, that's the main thing. I think we're not going to be looking for him to be sort of like the starter going forward, but this is what he's bought for. We paid 100K for this guy a week. So if he's not going to be able to do he needs to step up when we need him to step up. And
you know what? A lot of people, it's more the fans don't trust in him. A lot of the players and everyone around the club.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. I don't understand where this whole "we don't trust Eddie" things come from. whenever he's played with the first team,
I kind of understand
I
it.
understand where it's coming from, but the thing is, because of the Europa League performances, but whenever he's played with the first team, as in the end of last season, this season as well, whenever he's played with the first team, and he's had a couple of weeks in terms of another preseason just to get used to being that main man again. If he can't do this, then this is his last chance for me. He needs to step up.
Super chat, I'm just gonna say this. Everyone in the chat right now, let me know. Do you trust Eddie Nketiah in the sense that Gabriel Jesus is going to be injured for potentially 3 months? If Eddie Nketiah is our striker from now until he is back, as long as we can find goals from other places to also contribute, do you think Eddie Nketiah can keep us still at the top of the table? That's the question. Do you think Eddie Nketiah can keep his title hopes alive? That is the question. And a lot of people are going to say no. Like you see here,
I understand.
People are saying no already because Eddie Nketiah has never really been the player that Jesus has been. Jesus has always been considered a top.
But they bring different things. They bring different things though, because Jesus is not necessarily a primary goal scorer. He's someone that will dictate that press. We know our press has been that main chance creation mechanism that we've used to get the ball into the back of the net and create chances for other people. But the issue is Eddie is more of a clinical finisher than Jesus is, and he will provide a different dynamic. So the question isn't where the goals are going to come from, because Jesus hasn't been providing the goals. The issue is, can we create the same amount of chances that we have without Jesus in the team? And that's where the test is going to be, because if you can create the same amount of chances, we have the Sakas, the Martinellis, Odegaard, who's been hitting the back of the net, Xhaka. We have goals from all over the pitch, set pieces from Gabriel, for example. There's goals in this team. The goals aren't the issue. It's, can we keep up the same pressing metrics and the same pressing metrics that can create chances? And that's what we saw today. In Dubai, we were pressing well. Dubai is not a cold country. Dubai is, it's a very warm country. So
let me show
these are the things.
Let me show you something after the match. This is Arteta. This is Arteta after the match speaking to
Ismael Bennacer.
Ismael Bennacer. And this comment here from Oracle perfectly helps with this situation. He says, Oracle says, Igal Curran tuning in late question. You're not late, my friend. We just started. No. Both of you, thoughts on Ismael Bennacer? Would you take him at Arsenal? By the way, did you guys see this little moment right here where Mikel Arteta went to go see his former teammate? Because let's be honest, if you guys don't know, they were teammates. He was in the academy and he was breaking through in the Arsenal team when Mikel Arteta was just leaving and he was a captain of the club at the time too. So they might know each other, maybe not as well as some other people, but there is some familiarity between Arteta and Bennacer. And you could see by the way he greeted him that it was someone he pretty much already knew and he was happy to see. So I think he would be a good fit in the sense that left-footed, comes into midfield. He could play as an alternative for Xhaka. And I'm not looking at him as a deep line midfielder. I'm looking at him more of a CM box-to-box type. What do you say?
I struggle with this because I feel that obviously the price is going to be non-existent. We can get him on a pre-contract, but for me, I feel like if you're looking at Bennacer, you're looking at someone who obviously is a great passer, someone that will be able to dictate play quite well, be that playmaker in the middle of the park. But the issue is, I feel like we need to go higher in central midfield. I feel like there's a level of player that we need to get in that central midfield spot. I've been a massive proponent for a dual winner in midfield. I think that's a major issue. I feel like if you're going to be able to someone that will cover the space well in transition, someone that will be able to win their 1v1 battles, someone that's got a Declan Reiss, for example. I think that's my favorite position. I think everyone knows that that is my position. I feel like that is where we need to go. And as much as I like Bennacer, I think that he is someone I think is very good in Serie A. I think that he has got the ability and the ability to dictate play in that league, which makes him very good in that league. I don't know how that translates to the Premier League. We've seen how many times Serie A midfielders have come over to the Premier League and been physically wanting, have sometimes been having an inability to control play in transition, in defensive situations. So I feel like he is someone that I like at AC Milan. It feels like it's someone that he is very good there. maybe Juventus going for him. I think this is the main thing. I think that when you're looking at Premier League, this is a league that's dominated by winning your duels, especially in midfield, controlling transitions, being able to shut down shop when you lose the ball. I think that's a major proponent of what a Premier League side needs to win in this league. So I prefer a Declan Rice. I think for 70 million, I think you're going to get a steal there. I think that's a ridiculous price for someone of his caliber. And I think that I don't really get why we, as Arsenal fans, want to cheap out on a position where we've struggled in previous seasons. You look at when Thomas has gone down in previous seasons, and it's cost us games.
How much would Declan Rice cost us?
70 to 75 million.
Do you think that's attainable for 70,
yes.
75?
Look, I'm tired of this because I feel like people are going crazy for a Joao Felix who's going to cost 75, 80 million, and yet we can't afford Declan Rice. It makes no sense. I don't feel like it makes sense at all. I think that if you want
but what about Rice and all his links to Chelsea and the fact that Chelsea have always
of course there's links there. Of course there's links there. I'm not here saying that 100% we're going to get him. I think there's an opinion that needs to be. I think that's another thing that needs to be discussed is people's opinions over people's. And with Onahi, you've watched one game for Morocco. You've watched one game for Morocco. Come on, guys. Let's be real here. You've watched one game and you're like, oh, he's done well in that one game. I feel like he's the one for us. Guys, international football is not the same as Premier League football. International football isn't the same pace as Premier League football. And you've not seen him. If I'm not here for people saying, oh, I've gone on Football Year and I've watched 10 games overnight. You haven't. You haven't watched 10 games. You've watched one game and you've liked him. So no, I'm not having.
I don't know how many games of anger people have watched, man.
Exactly. I'm hearing like people saying about this this Brazilian kid that you mentioned before, and that he's the next big. You haven't watched him.
Oh,
he's like 15.
God. I seen things tweet about it.
I just don't understand where people I don't know how you people can just lie so blatantly. I don't understand.
It was Eduardo Hagen tweeting about it. And
I'm sorry, but I don't get how people lie so brazenly. Like, oh, I've watched tons of games. You haven't. There's not game film to watch.
I played like 7 games.
I'm saying, whenever you've seen how when I watch a player.
This guy, we're after what's his name again?
Cunha.
You know in the article that David Ornstein put out, he actually said that we are linked to him, yes, but it doesn't even say that the links are strong. The links could just be that we actually considered looking at him and then we moved past it. That's what it could be. And I genuinely believe that's what it is, because he's linked to a move to Wolves. He's linked to a move to all these other clubs. And this is what Fabrizio Romano had to say. I think this is what Fabrizio Romano put out yesterday on the player. Here we go. No pun intended. He said not fully agreed yet between Wolves and Atletico Madrid for Matheus Cunha and Felipe. They're gonna get Felipe also.
Yep.
That guy's old now.
Who runs Wolves?
Who runs Wolves? Mendes.
Jorge Mendes, who is Joao Felix, Cunha, all these guys' agent.
Yeah, we know who.
Jorge Mendes. Okay, so we're going to get offered guys like Joao Felix. We're going to get offered guys like Cunha. Doesn't mean we'll go for them. Same thing happened with Pedro Neto last year.
Look at this. My friend's a Leeds fan, right? Joe. He is on his knees to sign Cunha. Literally on his knees.
Honestly, no, but the thing is, Leeds are a very, very well-run club. They've done their due diligence on players. They've got the manager they want. They're going in the correct direction. And Cunha, very industrious, very hardworking player, would fit in Jesse Marsh's system. No problem with that. The main thing I have a problem with is no. At Leeds, I don't think he's the quality and we've seen from what Mikel has said, we are not going to bring in players we don't believe in. The players that we will believe in, that we will bring in, we're not going for short-term solutions. The same thing happened last season with Vlahovic.
Let me just, before we go deep into Cunha, let me just bring it back quickly. Weighing up the option doesn't mean we're actually in serious at all. Just weighing up and checking the weathers, don't. That doesn't mean anything. That literally is they view it as a potential option, but the club is not going to do those kind of options unless we're panicking at the end of the window. That's a panic signing at the end of the window. That's not
We
a
won't do it. We
yeah.
don't do panic signings, especially in January. Like you look at last season, we had the Vlahovic stuff, and we went for it and we went for it, and it didn't happen. And then what happened? We didn't go for some random extra panic buy. We didn't go for that.
But what
So
about this guy? I felt like we went in hard for Danilo. We went in hard for
we did go in
Danilo,
high for Danilo for
but
in
now
August.
but now
Yeah,
rumors saying we aren't even serious about Danilo.
because other targets must have arisen. I feel like we're making sure that we prioritize the signings that we need for this title charge. I feel like that's the major thing here. We've got two central midfielders at the six with Mohamed and with Thomas. We don't need a third. The only reason we went for Douglas Luiz is because both were down, and we thought Mohamed will be back in like now instead of the amount of time that he was. I feel like there's not a specific need for him. If we're going for a central midfielder, it doesn't need to be Danilo. You read my throw on Danilo. I know this guy. This guy is a very, very good sort of like 6-8 hybrid, much
Is he
more
better than
comfortable
Elneny
forward.
right now?
He's about that level. He's about that level. Maybe it depends on how he adapts. I think that he's a very good passer. He brings different things. Elneny is much more
My
secure
question to you,
defensively, but Danilo is much more offensive minded. He reminds me a bit more Sambi than Elneny.
1 second, let me just ask you one more question.
Mhm.
Would you invest money in January for a player that you feel like is the same level as a player that you already have?
Depends on age, depends on potential, it depends on a load of different factors. I think it's just going
Would
on the
he
quality at
impact?
this moment in time. I don't think he would
Would he
impact.
impact the title race?
No, hell no. He'd be there for the Europa League,
Okay.
if that.
So with that being said, he's not impacting the title race. Why would we go all in?
There's no need.
There is no need.
There is no need.
So Mikel Arteta had a press conference after the game. Let me just see some of the topics that he discussed. Okay, so some of the topics that he discussed. Here we go. We have people in the chat. Let me know what you guys are saying. Griezmann and Talwood.
What?
I don't know too much. I don't know who Talwood is. I don't foresee a panic.
There isn't a need for a panic buy. There isn't any need for one.
Yeah. People, also, you guys can become channel members. Big up to Simpy M in the chat. And we got M in the chat. We got two M's. What's going on? M saying, don't be surprised if Arsenal don't buy anyone. They are talk no action. No, we're definitely buying somebody. We're definitely
look. Honestly, transfers are so volatile. You know what I mean? Like these aren't situations where day by day it just goes. You know, okay, we're making contacts. The deal is established. Personal time. It doesn't work like that. These things go up and down. You never know what could happen. So until we get confirmation of these things, never assume that we're signing someone, because that's what happened last year.
Big up Tom Canton and Kia. They had a quick. They gave us a quick little synopsis of what he said. Obviously, they did their player ratings. You can check that out. But Mikel Arteta on transfers. Same old, doesn't really say much. We are looking, we are looking, and we are very actively looking at the possibilities. If we can find a player that can strengthen the team, we will try. Then speaking about Ben White, very pleased that everyone given him the support and love. We know the reason why he had to leave, and it is good to have him back in a good shape. Okay. And I honestly think it's no one's business to find out, to try to continue to dig.
Who cares? It's not a football matter. Yeah. If it's a football matter, then go ahead. Yeah, exactly.
And this whole thing about the Ben White bust up thing, I generally don't believe that it was that, or else you wouldn't have people saying, I'm praying for you, I'm hoping.
I don't care if it was. It's England. Like, who gives a shit? They're already out. It doesn't matter. Like who cares? Literally, why would I care about England? The way they treated Bakayoko last year, I'm not with them. Screw them. They can just do what they want. It's fine.
You know
Doesn't
what?
matter about it. Like,
I don't like France's politics, but I root for France when it comes to football.
I don't
And
root for international football anymore. It doesn't make any sense. But like, we need to move on to Arsenal because
no
we're
worries, no
talking
worries.
Arsenal.
This is why you said F the World Cup. I get it now. Arteta on youngsters. If we want to develop players, you have to expose them to in different contexts. I thought today was pretty understand today what
Today was perfect to understand how they can compete even though they're really young.
okay, not bad. And then what is this? Arteta on how he feels about the characters, questioning white.
Basically, he's all up. What Mikel's saying is that it doesn't really matter what other people say. We know who Ben is, and we know what he needs from us, and how happy that he is to have a Ben at the club. That's all it is.
And then that's pretty much it. The interview didn't really have too many excerpts from this interview today. See, it seemed like it was quite.
I think the main thing to take away is the we are very active and we are looking. I think that's obviously what we're going to be talking about for the next 2 months, as it were. How many people do you think we're going to sign, Miguel? Do you think we're 0, 1, 2? How many? What are you thinking?
Let me know, chat. Over, under 2, because I think I think 2 is the number. I think 2.
You think?
And if you're saying under 2, okay, how about this? 1.5. Over under 1.5. Basically, do you think we sign 2 players or do we sign 1? Because January transfer window, you're not seeing 4 or 5 signings, and I'm not including pre-agreements for next year for summer.
Okay, that makes a difference.
Players only coming
in now. Okay.
Yeah, coming into the squad, because we can get a Mikel Mudryk and we can get a midfielder. But is the midfielder going to be someone who's going to be an instant impact, or is he going to be a youngster that's going to be needing to develop? I personally think if we want to push on and try to win a league title this season, we need to go and get 2 players.
Who are those players again?
Those 2 players, for me, have to be a midfielder that brings squad depth to this team, adds more squad depth to our midfield, and allows certain people to move around. Because guess what? We found out that they're not really looking to buy a 6, but they're using so many different players in that 8 position that we might still be looking for an 8. So it could be a Tielemans. It could be a pre-contract. For now, get Tielemans in January. It could happen. It could happen because I was seeing reports from it the other day, and this is one of the topics I want to talk about. We're going to talk about Felix and Mikel Mudryk in about 10 minutes, but who is the midfielder that we sign? Who? Because Arsenal need to sign a midfielder. We don't know who we're going to sign, and we've been hearing reports about Danilo's not happening. We've been hearing reports about Amrabat. It's not happening. Let's be honest. We're not going to sign another AFCON midfielder so we can get fucked when it's time for AFCON to happen again, that we lose Partey and Amrabat. It's not going to happen. Another one that's not going to happen. We're not going to go and get somebody from a team that has a player with a contract running down with 6 months left. We're not going to go pay 20, 30 million for him. If anything, we're going to wait. So I don't think Tielemans is going to happen, but there is a slim possibility of it happening. And someone out of the blue, like, you're not getting no Jude Bellingham. You're not spending no ridiculous money in the midfield. We're not seeing Arsenal spend.
We're not getting Jude.
You're not seeing Arsenal spend 70 million or 100 million in the midfield in January. We are not that desperate for that type of midfielder. We just need somebody who can come in the front to help us with more goals, service us more goals. And if you can get a cheap midfielder anywhere between 20 to 25 million and below, we might consider it. That's all I'm thinking. I don't think there's anything less than that. And I can even give you guys some reports. Tielemans, there's been a report lately that we're in for Tielemans. Did you see it?
I did, and I don't think we're in for Tielemans.
I just want to show everyone the report so they can
right. But before you get into that, let me just quickly just say, look, how many 8s do we have at the club?
I don't know. Let me check.
Well, I'll tell you, we have 4 8s at the club in the first team.
Okay.
We have Emil, Martin, Fabio, and the Congo.
Emil has pretty much become a left winger.
Then why are we going for Mudryk?
to add more goals in the squad, I would say.
But where does he play?
He would play in the front three.
He'd play on the left wing, right?
Okay.
So if we're looking at the where we have at the club, we have 4 8s, as I just mentioned, right?
So who
it doesn't make
Emil
any
Smith-Rowe,
sense.
Emil Smith-Rowe,
Emil Smith-Rowe,
Fabio
Vieira,
Granit Xhaka, ESR.
Martin Odegaard.
Okay, sorry. Let me do this again.
You do it again.
Granit Xhaka.
Yep.
You're not counting El Neni or Lokonga as 8s, are you?
Lokonga is an 8. He's a left centre mid.
Lokonga's an 8. Vieira's an 8. Emil Smith-Rowe's an 8. Martin Odegaard's an 8. I'm not counting Partey as an 8. Are you?
No, Partey is not an 8. That's 5.
Okay, so we have 5 8s. You're saying,
yeah,
in that position. Okay, we have two defensive midfielders in El Neni and Partey, and if you want, you can include Xhaka and Lokonga. So potentially 4 in those 2 positions. So
I mean, Xhaka hasn't played DM in like ages, but we have. I feel like if we're looking for like this season, because the only reason we went for Luiz is because literally everyone went down. Mo and Partey went down. That's the only reason we went for Luiz, because it was a panic buy and we had literally no one. Like, unless both go down, it doesn't make any sense. We don't plan for injuries, for multiple injuries in the same position. I feel like it doesn't make any sense to go for a midfielder now. I feel like Partey will be 30 next summer. We need to start looking for a replacement. And Xhaka, we don't know what his future is going to be after the season, because his situation is going to start coming up again. He only signed an extension, remember. So it will be, for me, I feel like that left centre midfield / six role, the player that can play both is Declan. And you have someone that can learn this on the job, can get that the deficiencies he has in sort of possession side. He hasn't been coached in a possession side. His coaches have been Moyes and Southgate his entire career. He needs proper coaching in how to position for the ball, how to show for the ball, these kind of things. So this is what I'm saying. So if you're looking out for someone for next season, go for it. But for now, it doesn't make any sense. We have 5 8s for 2 positions in the Premier League. Doesn't really make any sense to me. But yeah, I get where people are coming from. I get where the noise is coming from. I personally feel that Tielemans ends up at somewhere else. I feel maybe a Liverpool could go for him if they don't go for Enzo. They were looking for all these right centre midfielders to pair up with Thiago. So the Judes, Enzos, maybe Tielemans if they get no one. Yunus Musa's another one. I feel like if Sambi leaves, I would love Musa at the club. These are all options, but I feel like it's not really what we need for now. If you're talking about for now, it's not really needed. I feel like the winger is more needed because we need the goals.
Okay, let me just stop one thing. I don't think we're getting a DM.
Hell no.
I don't believe we're getting a DM.
I don't think there's any reason to get a DM.
I think the only midfielder that we might get is someone who could potentially be another squad piece. But why would they spend money in January on a squad player? I don't think they're going to do that.
The other thing is, if you really want squad pieces, the amount of 8s we have in terms of like squad players, 8s at the club, like the Ethans, who's incredibly young, or an MLS, or like with some of the youngsters, Matt Smith, you can blood some of these guys.
Here's my shot. Jonas Musa, nketiah, Tielemans, Mudryk, Felix. Those are the names that I'm actually hearing in January that I feel like are realistic options in January. What do you think? Out of these names, let me put them on the screen. Out of these names, how many potentially could actually happen? So this would be pre-contract for nketiah, pre-contract for Tielemans, Mudryk potentially, Felix or Mudryk, and Musa in January. So that would be potentially 2 signings, whichever one you want out of Felix or Mudryk, and then 2 pre-agreements. This is a realistic January, don't you think?
Yes. I mean, for me, I think that we get 1 done, and I would hope the Indica pre-contract. That's what I think. I'm always very conservative when it comes to transfers. I don't feel like it's very. I don't think we're looking for some pie in the sky January. I feel like all transfers until there's significant progression and you're seeing that there's consistent links, sources converging on those links. I don't really see the point. The Felix stuff in that one scene article, he even said it was like people in the Arsenal hierarchy have been discussing it. Doesn't seem like there's been any concrete progression towards a Felix deal. Also with Broha going down, I feel like that could be a solution for them in terms of Joao Felix going to Chelsea maybe.
No,
I don't
Cristiano
really.
Ronaldo's got to go to Chelsea, man.
I don't know where he goes.
They already got their Felix in Hazard.
He might retire, man. He might retire.
No, he can't. He can't.
He might retire, man. I'm telling you, like his ego is done. He's fragile. He doesn't know what he wants from. He's broken.
Ronaldo's not going to retire. Come on. He's literally going to try to play until 2020.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know where he, like, even if he goes to Chelsea, I don't see him be able to fit in, because what Chelsea need is a creative source to provide that sort of extra chance creation in the final third. They have the guys like Alba, Havertz, who aren't getting any service, and Alba had 8 touches against us.
Let me just stop you there. People in the chat, let me know what you would rate this window out of 10, because I know Curran, you don't do
all of this.
Yeah.
Damn. That's a lot.
Is this a 10 window?
This is a. You can't do both Musa and Tielemans. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Okay, so you take Musa in January or Tielemans on a free next year. Which one are you taking?
Musa every day of the week. Every day of the week. Because the thing is with Tielemans, Musa provides that athletic aggression in all phases of play. Tielemans, as good as he is on the ball, I still don't like his off the ball tendencies. I know he's aggressive and he tries to press, but he gasses a lot, and he's not at the age where you can train that. He's in his mid-20s now. You can't keep going for it.
Let me just go to the chat quickly. Big up everyone in the chat. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys can become a channel member. It's quite cheap. It's only £1 for the base level, and then the second level is just only £2 more. And then you got Dex here saying he's alone or buy. I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Felix?
I'm guessing that's Felix, yeah.
Felix, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, guaranteed, even if you loan him. Most people are saying. Okay, let's move on now to the main event. But before we say anything, is there any players that we're missing? Because I mentioned pretty much all of them. Oh, did you see the Cancelo Ramos trending?
Oh dear God. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I wish I didn't see it. You know what it was? I'll tell you what happened, right? A Newcastle fan, one of my friends, his name's Ben, posted on Twitter, I'm glad we didn't sign Gonzalo Ramos. That video is mad. And I was like, what video? And he was like, you don't want to know. And when someone says you don't want to know, you instantly have to know. So I searched on Twitter and found it. And dear God, why? why is that on Twitter? But
no, man.
Yeah.
You know what? It just brought back the whole Saliba stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, yeah. That's a madness.
I can't even search Cancelo Ramos on Twitter right now.
Why would you want to? What's coming up.
Because I was gonna go and find the Arsenal links, but there's no point.
There's links to us.
Yeah, there was. Basically, he scored a hat trick, and then the next day, people are saying Jesus is injured. You need a replacement. Benfica. La 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 la.
I love Twitter, man. It makes no sense. Yeah. It's the Onahi shouts again. It's basically people seeing one game and think, it's Sasha.
What about Onana? Onana, I never thought it was gonna happen.
Which one, Amadou or the goalkeeper?
What?
Which one, the Everton one or the goalkeeper? There's two Onanas.
The one that went to Inter.
The goalkeeper, yeah. I think it was an option, but I'm glad we went with the way we did, because you see, he got sent home from the World Cup for disciplinary issues, but it was really just he wasn't willing to play the way the Cameroon team wanted him to play. They just wanted him to be a calm person, but they didn't really get him to do that. So
He wanted
I'm
to. He
glad we
wanted
didn't.
to. He wanted to mess around. Anyways, guys, we are here, and it's this time that we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this because everybody's talking about it. You got Mykhaylo Mudryk and you got Joao Felix. Let's get straight into it, ladies and gentlemen. People in the chat, let me know who you would rather want to sign. Now, I'm just gonna put it this way. There's gonna be metrics, realistic, price. We're gonna look at impact. We're gonna look at um, are you worried about? You know what? Let's just start from the beginning. Personally, for me, Corinne, if I had to
Mhm.
pick one, I'm going to pick the player that I feel like is the more versatile, the player that would have a impact, the player that could help us in many different positions. And do you feel like that player is Joao Felix, or do you feel like that player is Mikel Mudryk? Because for me, I'm looking at the fact that Felix can play the number nine, and Mudryk doesn't really play the number nine.
Mhm. Um, let me just say this. So I feel like for me personally, I prefer someone that we actually need going forward past 6 weeks. Because it's going to be, if we're looking for Joao Felix, it's a 6 week signing. We're looking for a deal in Joao Felix where Jesus comes back. Where are you going to put him? You're going to put him left wing. You're going to put him right wing. He's for 220 a week. He's not a starter. I don't think he starts over our wingers. He doesn't start as a 9 over what Jesus and brings us. So for the amount of wages that he's on, doesn't make sense. And from all reports have said that his deal is going to be offered to everyone. I'm going to say again, I feel like Chelsea are a better option for him. They need a creator. It doesn't make any sense to play, as this guy said, 100 million euros for a guy that we will be signing for a 6 week period. I feel like with Mudryk, we have options on the left. We can move Emil central. He can be that sort of devastating midfielder that he's always meant to be. He's always grown up through the academy as a midfielder. He was a 10 when he broke through at Arsenal. He's always been a midfielder. He played on the left wing very well, and that's fine. But we have now a situation where he can play false nine. He can play right center midfield, left center midfield. That Xhaka role is built for him. That third man run, get into the box, draw players out of position, get goals. That's built for ESR. He is perfect at that. So it doesn't make any sense to go for someone that can just be there for 6 weeks. You're going to pay 220k a week for him. We've got issues in terms of his consistency. He's clearly a very, very good player. Very good player. Technical security, great. Ball striking, great. But it's 6 weeks. And I'm not paying 100 million euros for 6 weeks, even if it is a loan. Because at the end of the day, most loans have an option or obligation to buy. You don't do dry loans anymore.
Let me ask you this. Everyone in the chat, on a serious note, who do you think would add more goals to this team? Just strictly output wise. Who do you think would bring more impact to this team? Who do you think would give you more value for your money? It has to be Mykhaylo Mudryk in the sense of value for money. But
Forget value for money in terms of pure output. I trust what Mudryk can bring to us in late game situations. I feel like you look at games like West Ham last year, away from home, we had Nketiah as an outlet, running the channels, getting the ball out of our half when we're down. Mudryk is great at that. His ability in transition is insane. His ability to come inside and create opportunities for others, great. It doesn't make sense to go to pass up an opportunity that is going to be what, a 50 million, 60 million signing, not 100 million like Shakhtar is saying. We're talking pounds, 50, 55 million, something like that, I'm guessing. It doesn't make any sense to go for 100 million signing that will be good.
People are saying Felix adds more goals.
They're wrong. They're
Can we
wrong.
judge 1 second? Is it fair? Is it fair to say we can't judge what Felix does at Atletico Madrid in comparison to what he would do at Arsenal? Because look at what he was doing at Benfica before he left. 15 goals, 7 assists in 26 games. He went to Atletico Madrid, never scored over 8 goals in the league.
Again, I would point to the fact that he's playing for Diego Simeone. It's a different system. it's a different way of playing, and I think
But then
he
could you say
is.
the same thing about Mudryk? Because
The same thing could be said about Mudryk, of course, but the issue
he hasn't really had.
no. But the difference is that Mudryk has qualities that you can translate to to this league and what we need much more. Mudryk has much more similarities to Martinelli than people are saying. Martinelli, his ability to carry the ball. The one thing Mudryk has is a more creative mind than Martinelli. Martinelli is more that wide centre forward role where you can rotate inside, get into the box, and score goals and cutbacks.
What about this one? This one throws a spanner in the works. Cheaper than both of them. 40 million. Mohamed Kudus.
I like Mohamed Kudus a lot. I was talking about Mohamed Kudus in 2021 before people were getting crazy about him at this World Cup. He's a very, very good player. Plays across the front three, provides goals, gets into the box, hits those third man runs well. Very, very confident, great dribbler. The question is production, and I don't know whether Ajax are going to be willing to sell for the amount that has been quoted, because especially after the World Cup, he's going to be that James Rodriguez breakout star of the World Cup. Is he going to go for 40 million?
It's not worth more than 30, 40.
Like, no, but he will. No. But some dumbass club is going to pay 60, 70 for him.
No way. No,
I'm telling you, this market is insane. Bro, they paid 100 million for Anthony. They paid 100 million for Grealish. This market is insane.
Paying that type of money for Mohamed Kudus is the same as paying that type of money for Jonathan David. They're just not that player yet. I mean,
David can't finish. That's a different situation. David literally cannot finish. Come on, Igal, you watched that Canada team. I sat there for that entire Canada group and cursed this man because I wanted Canada to go through. He is dog shit in front of goal. He's just awful in front of goal. At least Kudus can strike a ball. Like, at least he has that ability. But it's getting off the point.
Who's a better ball carrier, Mudryk or Kudus? Because
Mudryk. Mudryk. It's not even close. Like, Kudus is much more a well-rounded player. He's much more he doesn't have that sort of deficiency in set situations in possession because he's played for Ajax. He's had the tutelage of the Ajax coaching system to be able to break down blocks. But in terms of ball carrying and getting the ball through the thirds, Mudryk is one of the best in Europe at it.
Okay, we need to debunk this, Mustafa. I started off intentionally with Joao Felix hype because the main reason why people hype up Joao Felix is because he can play multiple positions. What is more important? Somebody who can play multiple positions and is at a basic level, or someone who can excel in one position but can also help out and if need be in other positions?
The other thing with Mudryk for me is I feel like he, as I mentioned before, he brings a creative element that we haven't seen, because I've seen a lot of people talk about his pace and transition, and they've talked about his ability to carry the ball through the thirds and his ability to beat a player 1v1, especially in movement. No one's talking about his passing. Just no one. I haven't seen anyone talk about his ability to find passes, especially in central areas, to come inside. He started off as a 10. He wasn't initially a winger. He started off inside. We can get Felix. We can. It's a loan with option. It's quite easy. It's doable. But the question is, we don't think we need Felix. It's a different situation.
The two players, their prices are actually extremely not close. Like, Mudryk is going to cost closer to £60 million.
I think personally, in terms of pounds, if we're talking like, not forget the euros, because everyone's 100 million euros. It's about 83 million pounds. If we're talking pounds, I would say 55 to 60, I think, for Mudryk. I think for Joao Felix, you're looking at a 75, 80, 85 million pound signing, because there will be competition for Felix. Chelsea are interested. I assume other clubs will be interested. If I was Liverpool, I would be because he is what they need. He is that Firmino replacement that he can, you play Nunez and Salah strikers inside. You bring Firmino a bit deeper. Not Firmino. Felix a bit deeper. He can create. He can feed the players. He can also chip in with a goal or two. Those third man runs he does very well. He can be that player. I don't see him being a 9. He's not an out-and-out 9. He's not a striker. If he can have bodies around him that can create for him, he can be a very, very good player for them. I don't know why.
I've seen people compare Mudryk to a tricky winger like Neymar. I've seen people compare him to Martinelli in yourself, but I don't compare him to any of those guys. I think his trickiness and his excitement is of that level of a Neymar. But when it comes to his finishing, is it there yet? Because some people are comparing him to Sanchez.
I personally, if I was to because I've done now 2 threads on Mudryk.
Okay, let me ask everyone in the chat. Let me know. I personally think 60 million for Mudryk is reasonable. I think 60, 50 million is reasonable. I think the 80 plus is ridiculous. For Felix, Atletico Madrid are smoking bush if they think anyone's paying 120 million euros.
No one is paying that for them. The max they'll get for Mudryk, for Felix, be about 85, 90. I think, and that's at a stretch.
The guy that Cancelo Ramos has scored a hat-trick, his release clause is 120 million euros.
Yes.
The release clause that supposedly Liverpool is going to trigger for Enzo is what, 50, 60? That's why you can get those kind of release clauses triggered easy.
Yes, because it's a release clause, yeah.
But when it's over 100, no way.
Look, all I'm going to say to you is you were asking before.
You're not going to get Felix for 65 mil.
No.
Double that.
No, you're not going to pay. The question you asked before, I want to circle back to that because it's a very important question. Because you were talking about who you'd compare him to in terms of Mudryk. You were talking about Neymar and these guys and all this. I've done 2 threads on him now. I've talked about where he can impact, how he can do, what he brings to the team. I cross him between Sane and Martinelli. I think that's the best. I think that's a better combination. I think I hate using the tactical words, but his gait, his ability, the way he runs is very similar to Sane. The way he runs is extremely, extremely similar to Sane.
I gotta ask you a question though. Is Eddie Nketiah still starting for you if Mudryk comes in? Because a lot of people have made their ideal starting 11 after the January transfer window, and if we're talking me, like me personally, Mudryk on the left and Eddie on top, or Mudryk on the left, Gabby up top. What is it for you?
If we're talking an ideal situation, like my 11, like how I would set up, I go Mudryk left and Martinelli up front. Personally, because I've always been a Martinelli up front guy. I've always been that guy.
I remember.
So
he said he keeps his head down too much.
Yes, I think that's, and I still think that's the case. It's just that he's got this ability now that we have set rotations for him, that he's able to just he knows when to release and knows when to get the ball out of his feet, and he just knows the players will be there because we're just that good. But he still has these issues with the heads down dribbling. He's making it work for him, and Arteta is doing brilliantly with that. My thing is I feel like he's such a good centre forward. I feel like he's built for that position. He's good in the air. He's good linking up play. He's good. He's a great ball striker. I feel like he is much better up front. But in terms of what we're going to go do now, it's too small a turnaround. He's going to come back. We can't in 1 week coach him to be back to that centre forward role when he's doing so well in this left wing role. It doesn't make any sense. So for me, I feel like the reason why Mudryk works so well is because in late game situations, we can bring him on and he can be that sort of when we're 1-0 up. Because we know we've had times where sort of like we've had this sort of like let the game sort of pass by at times last season more than this season. In late game situations, in transition, when we're kind of defending, he is going to be that guy who brings it from a 1-0 or a 1-1 to a 2-3-1. He's that guy that raised the level late game situations. So yeah, that's where I stand on it.
Who's the best players to ever come from you got Yarmolenko,
you got Shevchenko.
You got
Fred came from Ukrainian league.
The Chelsea player, there was a legend.
Alex.
I can't think of too many. That came from the Ukrainian league. Can you?
I mean, directly from Shakhtar Donetsk is where you're basically going to look at, and obviously Willian, Sheva, Fred, Alex. There's a few, but like it's difficult
To spend
because
60 million is unprecedented, but the player is of that quality, my friend. That's why
it's not even about it's what 60 million is now. What is 60 million now?
it's the new
Because
30.
it's the new 30, 35. Leisha for United cost 60. Everyone clowned them, and I would say this: he would have been a great inverted left back for us. I still don't think he's a great centre back, but he's doing
Facunda.
very well. He's very well. He's doing very well for them. He cost 60.
Let me
You look
just
at
let me just
Anthony, 85. Like
let's
there's a
let's
lot
just
of.
go to this Facunda guy. I don't want nothing to do with the Orlando City kid. I personally think if you're gonna sign somebody from the MLS and they're not one of the best players already in the MLS, their transition to coming into the thing is going to be difficult.
It doesn't make any sense right now.
It doesn't.
That would be a summer signing that we'd loan down, like a trustee. That's the kind of signing Facundo Torres is. That's what we're looking at with him. I don't think he's ready for the Premier League. It doesn't make any sense. That's not a
100%.
January signing. I mean, have we seen links in January?
No.
No.
I've seen links a couple weeks ago where
That's
potentially
a
this
summer
could happen
signing.
I've seen links that this could potentially happen in January, like a pre-agreement or some sort of agreement with him. But if you guys don't know who Facundo Torres is, this is Facundo Torres. I'm just gonna say this. This is I don't like to say that stuff's BS, but there has to be a level
You
of
have
truth to
to.
it. There
You
has to
have
be
to
a
start
level of
calling BS on stuff.
there has to be a level of truth behind it.
Hmm.
But it's unbelievable that Arsenal would look at the MLS and say, let's get this unproven kid who hasn't done anything in the MLS to come in and help us in our title charge. It's bullshit in the sense of that is going to be the solution to our problems. But you're right. It could be a long-term investment. Now, with Torres, there is another Torres we're linked to. And you know who I'm thinking? Ferran Torres
Oh
from
yeah.
Barcelona. Another one that there's no truth behind it yet because yes, Barcelona might want to get rid of players, but Torres he just got there.
He's one of the, the one thing I took away from Ornstein in both the TV interview and on the article was multiple targets. I think we've got backups to backups. I think he's like a third, fourth, maybe fifth choice on the board. Like he'll be someone that's just thrown on the board, just be like, if all else fails, you can get Ferran Torres because Ferran Torres.
The guy's barely played for them.
He's barely played for them. He didn't look good for Spain in the World Cup.
He did look good though. No, he looked good.
He looked okay, man. He like the thing is the reason why I said it.
Match for one of the
He was.
performances.
Let me tell you why. Right. I feel like when you're in Lucha Ball, to say that he's had a great World Cup, you have to do something that stands out for that. Man of the match. Look, guys, you've seen some of the man of Havertz got a man of the match for God's sake. Did he have a great World Cup? Like, come on, man. Let's be real about it. If we're going to look at someone who had a great World Cup for them, I would say no one did because they didn't really. They looked good at times, but they were very slow, very passive. They weren't incisive in the final third, and no one really stood out. Did anyone stand out to you?
1 second. I don't rate Torres. I rate Torres. I just don't.
I think he's okay. I think he's
I
okay.
rate him as a player. Don't get me wrong. I just don't look at him and say he's the difference.
Okay, let me ask. Jake is my friend. How would you rather him or Mikel Mudryk?
I'd rather Mikel Mudryk.
I would rather Mikel Mudryk too because I feel like his ability is more suited to what we need at this moment in time. I feel like his ability to break games is what will like. Look at the team we're coming up against in Man City. Where are they weakest? Where do you think Man City are weakest?
I would say up front. Outside of Haaland, they don't have much.
No, I mean Haaland. Obviously, they have Alvarez, who can come in, and the thing is, for me, if I'm looking at Man City and I'm looking, because I think what will decide the title for me is how many points we can get out of Man City. If we can get 3-4 points out of Man City, that's what Liverpool did. He got 4 points out of Man City. We can win this title. And if you look at where they're weakest, for me anyway, is defending in wide areas. Outside of Walker, we have Cancelo, who's not great defending one-on-one. Walker, who hasn't been fit, who, if he is fit, is still great, but I don't know what his fitness is going to be like for the next half of the season. Ake, who has been defensively up and down in that sort of left-back position, that is where they're weakest. And to get a winger that is able to take advantage in 1v1 situations out wide, I feel like that is something that we need. I would plan this window as if we were looking for those 2 games, because I feel like we can beat every team in this league that isn't Man City. Okay. I really do. There's not many teams that even give us a shot. I think Spurs.
What about the Christian Pulisic links?
Why? Why are we getting Pulisic? No, I'm serious. If anyone in the comments can give me a good reason that we can get Pulisic, I'll pull it up, because I don't see why.
I'll say this. Pulisic is
dog shit.
Well. He plays well in the American system. He did well for them.
Brother, we're not in the MLS. This isn't
I get this is not a charity, but don't you think he would offer us more than a Marquinhos, Reiss Nelson, and some of these guys? And if we can get him on loan, okay. What about if I told you Arsenal could sign Hakim Ziyech right now? Would you take him?
No. Hell no. There's no need for him. Brother, we have how many wingers do you want? We have Nelson, Saka, Martinelli. If we do get Mudryk, we have Vieira who plays there. We have, you know what I mean? We have a lot of wingers. Marquinhos, I didn't even mention. We have a lot of wingers. Mudryk is coming in because it allows us to give that extra goal threat in transition. Because we have a very fluid front line. It's not like Eddie can play left wing, Jesus can play right wing. Other players can play 9. We need more. The whole point of this, and this is what Man City do, they have a collection of attackers that they can put on the pitch, 3 of them on the pitch, and produce goals. That's the ideal.
People in the chat, relax, man. Like, I see Emin and Mustafa going back and forth. That's not cool, man. Mustafa, if that's what took place, man, that's not cool. You can't be accusing people of stuff like that. It's not funny. It's not funny, especially he's black. You can't be doing that, bro. Right? Don't be accusing people of that. That's wrong. And Gakpo's not happening anymore.
No.
Gakpo's not happening no more.
Liverpool or Man United.
Hakim Ziyech would be a good shot for us. Hakim Ziyech is not it. You see, everyone has difference of opinions. Ziyech is way too lightweight for the Premier League. That could be potentially a reason.
But we're just making things up now. Like, there's no links for Ziyech. This is my thing. Like, I understand what people want, and I've always said, like I said yesterday on Twitter, people can have their opinions. I don't mind people having their opinions, and I don't feel like it's good to dismiss people for their opinions. Just come up with something better. If you can come up with something better, people will listen to you. Like, this is the thing. When people come at me for saying, "Oh, Declan Rice isn't it?" I was like, "Well, who's better? Who's the 6?" And they always come back with an Enzo who doesn't defend big space as well and is irrational in tackles at times.
What about McAllister?
I mean, like, I like Alexis McAllister. I think he's a good 8, but he's shorter than you, Igal. Like, I'm not having it. I need an athlete. You're not short. This is the thing. I'm not short. You're not short, but he is very short. I am indeed a giant.
Like,
but yes,
comparing to you, man. You're like what, 6'5" or something, like what?
6'4", yeah. But this is the thing. So
anyone who doesn't know, he's sitting down far from the camera, because if he was in front of the camera, he would be taking up the whole
thing. But this is the thing. I feel I don't mind the opinions. It's all about Trossard is a shout that, like, I feel like he'll sign. Zaha I've always liked, but who knows what his situation is going to be.
From PSV.
We saw what he was like.
He was okay against us. He was okay. He was one of the best players on the pitch, maybe.
He was okay. Like, he's okay. Like, I don't mind Sangare. Like, I don't mind. But the thing is, if you're asking me, like, I'll ask you, Sangare or Declan Rice?
Declan Rice.
Declan Rice. There you go. Done. Like I don't mind Sangare at all, but if the options are what the options are, and personally I feel like Bowley doesn't like Declan. Like this is my personal take. I feel like the Lavia bid and the Alvarez bid, like if they were that desperate, they would have just gone for Declan. Like he was there. They could have gone. That's just my personal opinion. It's not like I don't have any links. I'm not this ITK nonsense. It's just my personal opinion. I feel like they prefer someone like a Lavia or an Alvarez or someone like that. I don't feel like they prefer Declan. I feel like they think that he is overpriced, and I understand that. For them, they need multiple. They need a complete rebuild, especially in their front line. So I wouldn't be spending 70 million in midfield when they don't really have the money to do that. After spending what in the last 2 years, in the last two full calendar years, so 2020 and 2022, spending what 475 million pounds in over 2 different administrations, it doesn't make any sense to spend another 300 million when you're possibly going to have to spend 70 on Joao Felix. So this is in my thinking. So. Because if you look around the clubs,
6 feet. I'm almost 6 feet. I'm like what 182 or no 185.
No, 185 is 6 foot. So if you're just under, I would say probably at 180. I think 182 or 183 is 6 foot.
No, that's what I am. No, I'm like 180 something.
Then you're 6 foot. There you go. Congrats, girl. You're 6 foot tall.
But like people keep always making jokes. What else is there? We're gonna end this off. But W, what Wallace guys? What? Oh, he's just saying my name. W's in the chat, everyone. Big up. W's in the chat.
W's in the chat.
W in the chat. W for my guy Curran for coming on. We gotta go, guys. Everyone's gonna go watch Croatia versus Argentina. Arsenal is going to be back soon versus Juventus. We're gonna take down Vlahovic. Would you take Vlahovic, by the way?
I love Dusan, and I think he'd be a good signing. I just don't know why we do it. It doesn't make sense at this point in time. I think that it depends.
I'm gonna paint the scenario. Juventus go down the shitter.
Mm-hmm.
They need to sell everyone. Fire sale. Chiesa, all of them. Who's the first person you're going in there to get? Is it Vlahovic?
Honestly,
it's not Vlahovic.
Do you want me to be honest? It's Szczesny. I love Szczesny. I think Szczesny would be the one out of all of them. I feel like in terms of like late game situations, in terms of like if we're going to be in the Champions League, the Europa League, these top competitions in Europe, you want a penalty keeper. He's the best keeper in the world at penalties.
Forget about Ramsdale like that.
No, hell no. I think that him and Szczesny would be perfect foils for each other. They're both mental.
Bro, you're not gonna go for someone else in that team at all.
What? Locatelli, no. McKinney, no. Chiesa injured. Vlahovic. It depends on the price of Vlahovic. No. I don't really see a place from. Is he a 6? Is he an 8? You don't really know.
Alexandro.
We've got 2 good left backs.
I know. I'm just throwing out names at this
point. For me, it's just because no, hell no.
Rabio.
It's just the nostalgia in me. I guess. I think it's just the nostalgia for me. But if we're being, Vlahovic is an interesting situation. I
see people crying over it. Xhaka won't ever let it happen. As long as Xhaka's around, he's never joining.
Honestly, I just don't see the need. I think we have a lot of strikers at the club right now.
No, but I think the politics between Serbia and Kosovo,
Albania,
is so deep rooted in some of these people's culture that it will not allow Vlahovic or Milinkovic-Savic to ever join Arsenal as long as Xhaka is still there.
And I don't mind that, honestly. How long has Milinkovic-Savic been linked? Every summer since 2016, I swear this guy's been linked to Arsenal. Every year, since the Kante year, I swear we've been linked to this Milinkovic-Savic guy, and he's never come. He's never even thought about coming. It's just a name that journalists start to throw out. If you're looking at Juve, I I think one of the youngsters, like Illing Jr. or someone like that, like one of the guys coming, or Moretti, or what's the other guy's name? Fagioli. Like the youngsters, I think they have some very, very good youngsters there. Illing Jr. from Chelsea signed there. Fagioli from there, who came through. Moretti is another one, very good. Di Maria is a good shout, but he's a bit old. He's done though. This is the thing.
Yo, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. I gotta go eat food. I gotta go get ready for the game. Curran's gotta go also. Bremer?
No, hell no. Screw Bremer.
Anyways, we gotta go, people. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. We'll be back with a World Cup wrap-up show tomorrow. Today, we're just gonna chill. We'll do a wrap-up show tomorrow after both the semifinals. It's probably better. You can talk about both semifinals and look forward to the final. But for now, you guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Hopefully France win. Hopefully Croatia win. And you Messi fans keep crying. Peace out, guys. We're out of here.